Fear is loud, and intuition doesn't need to be. And if you're trying to make an important decision, knowing the difference between the two can change everything. Because maybe you've had this experience that you feel something very strongly, your body reacts, your mind starts going, and then you wonder, is this my intuition? Or is this that I'm just scared? And that's where so many of us get stuck, because both fear and intuition can get our attention, but they don't speak to us in the same way. And today I want to give you 3 simple checkpoints that I use myself to begin telling the difference between the two. And if you're just beginning to develop your intuition, I also created a free guide called 5 Things to Start Developing Your Intuition Today. It's a very simple place to begin practicing this, and you can download it from the link in the description below. But for now, I want you to think about a decision you're trying to make right now. It can be big, it can be small. Just bring one to mind, because we're going to use it as we go through these 3 checkpoints, okay? The first thing I want you to notice is, does the feeling rush you? Fear tends to create urgency. I have to decide now. I need to fix this. What if the opportunity leaves? What if I make the wrong choice? What if this happens? There's pressure, there's movement, there's almost the feeling of do something. Intuition can get your attention too, but the signal itself tends to be steadier. It doesn't necessarily need to argue with you. Sometimes it's simply no, yes, not this, wait. Or maybe there aren't any words at all. It's just a feeling. So your first checkpoint is this rushing me? Or is this informing me? There's a difference. And this is where it gets a little bit more subtle, because I don't want you to leave this video believing fear means no and calm means yes. It's not that simple. Sometimes intuition can lead you towards something that scares you a lot. Leaving a relationship can be scary. Changing careers can be scary. Moving somewhere new can be scary. Starting a new business, saying no to something that you probably always said yes to, that can be scary. So yes, fear can be present while your intuition is speaking. The distinction I want you to begin noticing is the quality of the signal underneath that fear. Fear tends to fluctuate. It pressures, it rushes, it creates stories. It can become very judgmental. But underneath all of that, you may still notice a quiet knowing, a pull, something that doesn't need to convince you. So instead of asking only, am I scared? Try asking, underneath the fear, is there something steady? That's a very different question. I had to make this distinction in my own life. There was a point when I had to decide whether I should go find a day job and create more financial stability, or continue doing the work I knew that I loved, my mindfulness practices, my retreats, and the tools I've been offering people. Logically, getting a new job made sense. And at first, I thought that's what I should do. I had a job opportunity in front of me. Financial stability sounded responsible, safe. But when I started checking in with what was actually happening in my body, I noticed something. Whenever I brought up the idea of getting a day job, there was urgency. I felt, you need to do something. You need security. You need to take that job. It wasn't even about whether I would be good at it or I would like it or whether I would enjoy it. There was this pressure to solve the problem. And I could recognize where some of that was coming from. That was my conditioned mind that had plenty of evidence. This was what I had learned. This was what seemed responsible. This was what I thought I was expected to do. But then I thought, there's another option. But then I brought up the other option. Continue to do the work I love. Continue building what I was already creating. Was that option scary? Absolutely. It was uncertain. It didn't offer me the same financial predictability, but something was different underneath the fear. The signal was quieter, slower, less judgmental. It wasn't screaming, "You have to do this." There was just something steady there. And because I've practiced checking in with myself this way many times, the distinction was easier for me to recognize. And when it isn't obvious, I wait. I don't force decisions. That is very important. And that's your third checkpoint. Does the signal remain? Fear can change very quickly. 1 hour, absolutely not. 3 hours later, maybe I should. That night, this is a terrible idea. But tomorrow, maybe that's exactly what I need. You know what I'm saying? It fluctuates because new thoughts keep feeding it. Intuition tends to have more stability. That doesn't mean you'll feel exactly the same every second. And it certainly doesn't mean that you'll never be afraid. It means that when the noise settles a little, the same quiet signal is often still there. So if you don't know, don't force it. Don't force yourself to know. Give it some space. Come back to it. Notice it again and ask, is the signal still there? So when you're wondering, is this fear or is this intuition? I want you to remember these three things. Urgency, is it rushing me or informing me? Quality, underneath the fear, is there something quieter and steadier? Stability, when I come back to this later, is the same signal still there? You don't need to answer perfectly. You're developing familiarity. And familiarity comes through practice. What we've just done is a very simple check-in, but sometimes the decision you are facing is bigger and you need more space to work through what your body is actually telling you. That's why I created When Something Feels Off. It's different from the free guide I mentioned earlier, the 5 things to start developing your intuition today. That's where I would begin if you're learning to recognize and develop your intuition. When something feels off, that guide goes deeper into the kind of body check-in when you're trying to understand what you're actually feeling around a decision. So if you're at that point, you'll find that guide in the description below as well. The goal isn't to become fearless. I really want to emphasize that because sometimes the choice that's right for you may be one that scares you. What we're developing is the ability to notice what is the fear saying and what is underneath the fear. You don't have to force intuition to speak. You don't have to demand an answer. You create enough openness to notice the signal that's already there. And the more you practice this, the more familiar your own signal becomes. If you want to begin practicing that relationship with your own intuition, start with my free guide, 5 things to start developing your intuition today. The link is right below in this video. But there's another piece of this that I don't want you to miss. Because before you can distinguish fear from intuition, you need to recognize how intuition actually speaks to you. Does yours come through words, feelings, a body sensation, a pull, a knowing? And what gets in the way before you even recognize it? That's exactly what I talk about in the video I'm linking for you next. Does intuition speak in words or feelings? Stop guessing. Go watch that one next, because once you begin recognizing how your intuition speaks, it becomes much easier to notice when fear is masking the signal. And then you can come back to these 3 checkpoints whenever you're facing a decision, and I'll see you there.